I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Last interviews are scary. Listening to a rapper who you look up to's last interview may be threatening to you. It may be weird because that's the last time you will actually hear their voice in a proper setting like such. I'm gonna walk you through 6 different rappers that you probably all have heard of. And I'm gonna show you each of their last interviews. In an essence, to try to understand more about the artist, more about what their mindset was at the time right before their death, and all in all, if we see anything interesting throughout all of it. I found some really cool stuff that I'm excited to show you, so let's dive right into it. The first artist that I would like to go into is Lil Peep. Now, Lil Peep's last interview is on November 8th. This is important to know as Lil Peep died on November 15th, 2017. So on November 8th, 2017, approximately 1 week before his death, he went live onto Beats One, a radio station, and gave a radio interview. Now, this radio interview isn't full conclusive. We don't have all the overlying messages discussed in the interview, but we do have some segments that I want to discuss and my findings through these segments. Now, on the segments, he talks about how he has future projects dropping, such as Come Over When You're Sober Part 2, which at the time of this discussion was not released yet. One of Lil Peep's biggest projects was Come Over When You're Sober Part 1, and Part 2 was in anticipation. So to see that Lil Peep was close to finishing Come Over When You're Sober Part 2, and that there weren't too many features on it, is an interesting show. It's cool to see that this was actually a finished project that was going to be released, so when we actually did hear it, it was actually in the creative mind of him. Now, we'll see this trend over the next few artists to see if they actually produced their last project. And we'll see a lot of them did not produce their last project. They did not put the full overall creativity into it to design it from front to end. But here for Lil Peep, we see that it's almost done, and it is his full creative idea.
So Come Over When You're Sober 2 is done?
Yeah, Come Over When You're Sober 2 is done. Also, I have another project called Goth Angel Center coming out soon.
He also mentions some interesting things that I want to know. He mentions he's not ever sober when he makes music.
I just go in there sometimes and I don't really remember a lot of my sessions. Not ever sober when I record my music.
Why is that?
I don't know, I'm rarely sober. I don't know, just because it kind of brings the raw emotion out of me and lets me, and I'll wake up the next day and literally I won't even remember what song, what I did in the studio, but I know I did something good. And then I'll listen to it and I'll be like, yeah, this is really dope.
This strikes me as interesting because he ended up dying from an overdose. Him saying that he's not ever really sober, and then him dying over an overdose is quite conclusive of where his mind was at. He was quite not there in the mind. He lived a life where he wasn't able to fully be present in the moment. He was constantly caught up in running away from different situations and trying to feel a different type of way. Now, for us who look up to these artists and we try to do a similar thing, I would advise you not to do that. You have the ability to be present, be here, and deal with your stuff in this life, even if it's gonna get hard. Even if you have to cry about some things that are gonna happen, even if you have to spend some time alone, it's more better and it's a more quicker way to feel better than to keep constantly running away from your problems. If you keep running away from your problems, you won't get away from them. They're still in you, man. When you take a pill, when you drink something to make your mind altered, you alter your mind. Yes, you alter your mind and your problems are gone for the next 1 to 12 hours, but they'll be back, and they'll be back much worse because they're gonna grow much stronger. You have to deal that head on, and I really wish Lil Peep would have had a different mindset, but it's okay. It's his life. He gets to live it however way he wants to live it. I'm not going to critique him on the overall style of which he lived his life, but that's one thing that I really like to point out to all of you.
Things just get worse. The anxiety just gets worse and worse and worse every day. But it's just something you gotta deal with. That's just something that some people have and they have to deal with, and they cope with it in different ways. Surround yourself with good people and just get through it.
Yeah, and music must make a huge difference to that, the ability to be able to express yourself regularly.
It does. Music and getting tattoos is my therapy, my form of therapy.
He mentions that his music is therapeutic and his tattoos are therapeutic. Those are two things that are to him very therapeutic and that he holds dear to his own heart. That he finds healing through his music, through his tattoos.
I don't really follow music as it comes out. I more like to just stick to the classics, like my old favorite Brick Squad takes.
He He also mentions he doesn't follow music. He's not really a music head in that sense. He thinks his favorite artists are his friends, himself, and the people around him, the people that he holds close to himself. He doesn't keep up with the day-to-day of the new music, the new rap. And he also mentions that he has an album on the way with Isla McConan, who we know that he did have some sort of a relationship with. So it's interesting that he gave the time of day to Isla McConan to build an album with him, and that this was going to be a really great album. All in all, when you listen to his voice, you can hear distress. You can hear that there wasn't much left in this guy. That this guy was going down a path that wasn't the brightest and wasn't the lightest. But all in all, he made amazing music for all of us to listen to, and his legacy will live through all of the fans that he's impacted. I'm not saying that if you listen to Lil Peep, you're a trash person, because you're clearly not a trash person if you listen to anything. You're a trash person based on the actions that you live, and you listening to Lil Peep's music, all the power to you. If it helps you grow in some sense, if it helps you feel understood, I respect it. I respect you taking the time to do that. But analyzing who he was at the time of his death, you'll see that he was in a very deranged place, as he knew that he was going down a bad path. He knew that it wasn't going to end well, and we saw how it did end. Now, the second artist that I do want to analyze this last interview is XXXTentacion. Now, XXXTentacion has multiple last interviews. What do I mean by that? Well, he has an interview that was recorded really close to his death, but they said they will never release this interview as it gets too emotional, and they just didn't want to clear it, and X didn't want this interview out. There is a few clips of this interview on the internet. I'll play them as I'm talking so you can see the only clips that exist on the internet. If anyone tells you they have the full interview, they're lying to you. But there's another interview that also got released really close to his death that wasn't a recording face-to-face. Now, this one was a journalist who wanted to understand him more and came to his house. If you're interested into understanding what happened in this interview, I made a full video on it. I'll have that in the description below. Just press link 1, you'll see it there. But the real last interview that I would say is his last interview that is released on the internet for us is with DJ Academics. This DJ Academics interview is 3 hours long. I'll make a video detailing it fully in detail, but for now I'll give you some highlights between this interview. This interview goes into his character. You see that X at the beginning of the interview was unaware that this was being recorded. Because of such, he acts in a certain type of way that's different than you will ever see an artist act on an interview.
Either, but like I figured
Drink some wine.
Yeah, I should start drinking wine. I'll be drinking.
Cause you'll get, bro. Not only that, it's healthy for you. It gets you drunk / high, and then, bro, it's like there's no health effect.
Yeah, I might have to start fucking with wine a little bit, man. Yeah, I've been going hard with that Henny. You know my nigga.
Yeah.
It's a FaceTime call, so he doesn't know that he's being recorded and this is being live streamed to people around the world. People continue to mock X through the chat, continue to just blame him for just saying words and trying to get clout. But at the end of the day, you see that X was actually saying some positive things, and you'll see the change throughout X. X also mentions some interesting things within this video, such as how he studies frequencies and his favorite artists, such as The Weeknd and Kurt Cobain.
At 15 years old, I was doing sound engineering. There are only 2 artists that I know saved my life. That's Kurt Cobain and The Weeknd.
You also see a shift in X's character throughout the interview. For the first hour and a bit, X acts tame. He acts in a way that's really approachable. But later on, he starts being more aggressive. He starts attacking a little bit more throughout the interview. I love this interview because it shows us the growth that X has made. If we look back to other interviews from X, he has his No Jumper interview. He has his Beat 103.5 interview. You see how he talks on those. When he's on the No Jumper interview, he gives a type of vibe where he's mysterious and he wants you to try to look into him a little bit more, to try to seek him, to see what type of person he is. While on the Beat 103.5 interview, he talks more in a way where he's trying to push himself up in the industry. But on this DJ Academics interview, he's more down to earth. He's more there, he's present, and he's aware. He's aware that he's alive, and he's showing his overall thoughts and his overall viewpoints. Now, this interview is amazing. I love this interview, looking back onto this and trying to understand where his mind was at and where he was going to go later in his life. I think it's amazing to look here to see where it's all gonna go, because this is one of the truest versions of a real last interview. He also has some creepy parts in it where he says that he thinks he's gonna die, that this might be the end for him, and what would happen if he got shot. Which is weird because he did get shot. I'll play that clip for y'all so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. It's one of the eeriest parts of this interview, which makes it one of the best last interviews for me because it shows the true capability of an artist. And what if this artist actually knew his death was coming? And it's just wild. So I'll let y'all listen to it. I'll stop talking.
The story of XXXTentacion end. If it ends.
How does it end?
Like, does it end like...
How is it supposed to end? How is it supposed to end? Let me tell you how it's supposed to end. The people in the positive aspect clearly see that I'm trying. The most important thing is that you try. You know what I'm saying? That you just do it. That I'm trying. That I'm trying to be a better person. They let this fucking case, this court case, go where it needs to go. I try and live as long as I can for these kids and die a good death.
Now I was saying, how does this story end? And what
How does it end? I live as long as I possibly can, so these kids can see as possible, and then boom, I die either of old age or from a fucking, or somebody murder me or some shit. Fuck it. You nigga, you seen John Lennon was on his shit. John Lennon was about peace. Hey, they murdered that nigga.
But all in all, X's last interview is a strange one. It's a strange one because we look into his mind, we're able to see who X is for who he actually is. We're actually able to see how he reacts to different situations and how he thinks. Now, the third artist who I want to talk about is Juice Wrld. Juice Wrld's last interview was on November 8th, 2019. About a month right before he died. What's also strange is that Lil Peep's interview was also on November 8th. And they both died by overdoses. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you want. Up to you. But throughout this interview, Juice Wrld really talks about the changes that he's making in the world, what he's trying to do, and the way that he talks in different situations. You can also see that he has a more mellow vibe. He's not as upright, he's not upright jittery. He's more calm. The way that he talks is more controlled, and it's nothing crazy and nothing extravagant. He mentions that people can achieve anything they want to achieve, and that music helps you to grow and helps you to grow connections. This Juice Wrld interview is a little bit eerie because it's shorter. It's one that was planned by Genius, and Genius has also taken it off their YouTube channel, so it's harder to find. Like, if you want to watch the full interview, I'll have it in my Discord. You can join in the description below. But it's a little bit odd that Juice Wrld just talks in a type of way that you see is a little bit more mellow. You see that he was going through a lot of addictions. You can see the type of person and things that he was dealing with. When you look at somebody and you watch how they talk, you can gain a lot of what's going on in their head. When you look at them and the words that they're saying, like the wordplay they're trying to choose in that moment of time, will tell you how they're feeling and what's going on in their mind. We're all just a projection of what's going on in our minds. If we have a clear mind, we'll project a clear mind. If we have a disoriented mind, if we have a mind where we're pessimistic, we'll be pessimistic about the people around us. Most of the times when people tell you that they can't do something, it's because they think that they can't do that. So they're telling you not to do it because they don't even have that belief in their own self. Here we can also see a similar thing with Juice Wrld. Yes, he's telling you to do everything that you want to put your mind to. That yes, it's okay to feel how you want to feel, and that positivity will spread if you let it spread. But the way that he says it is different. The way that he says it is a little bit more sad. It's a little bit more like, yes, I'm going to say these things because I have people who look up to me. I have people who are depressed and who are going through a lot of emotional distress, and I should be saying something positive. I'm not a psychological reader. I'm not here to read minds, but just assessing how Juice Wrld talks. I'll show you some clips so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I can't play too much because I'll get copyrighted, but yeah, I'll show you some so you can listen to it.
I mean, throughout life, it's always going to be a lot of discouraging people that, you know, use the word can't, and make sure that you know that we're all human beings. We all on the same earth. So with that being said, you can achieve anything, if not more than what you see other people achieving.
This interview is just odd too. Just as I mentioned, November 8th was the day it was released, as well as that Lil Peep one. So as I mentioned, if you want to see the full interview, it's in my Discord below. You can join. I'm always there and I'll meet you there too. I made a full video analyzing it as well on this channel, but it's a little odd. Now the fourth artist that I would like to talk about is Mac Miller. Now this Mac Miller interview doesn't get talked about ever. I've never seen anybody talk about this on the internet, so I'm happy to be the first one to bring it and to bring it to you on this Saturday. So this Mac Miller interview is a radio interview, and this was around 2 weeks before Mac Miller died. I believed around August 27th this was live. I've went ahead and analyzed all the parts of this interview, and I'll bring them to your attention right now. As we know, Mac Miller did die of an overdose in 2018, but legends never die. When Mac Miller's here talking, you can see that he enters right at the beginning. Enter him and he's jittery and he's happy and he's excited to be there. Now, Mac Miller talks about the importance of having fun on tour. You can see that Mac Miller is still looking for positive things in life. Although when you compare it to the Juice Wrld and how Juice Wrld was really negative throughout the things he was saying, in the tone that he was saying these things, Mac Miller is speaking in another type of tone. I know that Mac Miller was addicted to substances as well, but the way that he says these things is what I want to clue in on. It's the way, the tone in which these are said.
Because I don't know, it just gets tiring. Like everything being so business oriented and like so much like a job. You just sometimes want people to be like, hey man, how's your day? But if you think about it, it's like our job, the whole entire tour, other than like, you know, me or whatever other extracurricular activities.
Curricular.
But your job is to get together for an hour and a half.
One of the interesting things about this interview is Mac Miller saying that success is whatever you believe success to be. I'll let you listen to it and I'll explain to you exactly what that means.
What are your goals with
that's
swimming?
glad you said that, because that's a real good question. Like, every artist has different goals. And I think like, fans don't understand that.
Yeah, because they want you to sell records.
Right,
my goal is to sell records. My goal is to connect with people. My goal is to
tour for a bunch of, you know what I'm saying?
3 years.
My goal is to sell merch.
There's so many different ways to be successful in it. I think it just deals with what you actually want to do. Okay, like it's like this. If your goal is to make music that the only thing that happens with it is no one hears it.
Whatever you think success should be is what it will be. If you want to put out a song and have nobody listen to it and nobody listens to it, that's successful. If you want to put out a song and have 100 people listen to it and 100 people listen to it, that's successful. Success is based on your own terms of thinking. If you think that type of way should go this, and it goes that way, then that is successful in those terms. We like to attune success into big things, into massive things, into $1 million things, biggest in the world. We put these labels on ourselves, but at the end of the day, you can attune success into any type of way that you want to attune success into. I've never heard this before. I've read hundreds of books. I went through a whole college degree, and I've never heard this said before. This is something crazy, that success is what you think it is. It sounds so simple. It sounds crazy simple to understand, but it's so deep. It's so deep that you are allowed to say who you should be. Even as X said, you get to choose who you want to be when you wake up in the morning. Mac Miller right here is telling you that you get to choose what you want to do and how you want to measure it. I love that message. That message is wonderful. To see that, yes, somebody who's struggling with their own problems, someone who's struggling to stay afloat in this life, is saying positive things like this, shows the true nature of him closer to his death. Now, they asked Mac Miller about his goals, and this is where it gets a little eerie.
I want to make something that stands the test of time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest thing. It doesn't have to be like this culture shifting. Everyone all of a sudden is doing this, and it changes music. But I just want, if someone in 10 years, you know, is like, hey, have you heard this before? Mm-hmm. And someone listens to it, they're like, oh, this shit's tight.
He mentions that he wants to continue to get better, he wants to stand the test of time, and that people will listen to it in the future. We know that streaming of Mac Miller's music did go up after his death, as it does for every other artist after they pass away and they hit all the news headlines. And yes, there's a lot of Mac Miller songs that I go back to too and listen to. And I know a lot of people that love Mac Miller. So yes, did he accomplish his goals? He did accomplish his goals, but what were the means to get to those goals? Well, death was the means to get to those goals. It's kind of upsetting that that was the means that it took to get to those goals, but that's what it was for Mac Miller, unfortunately. They asked him to give a message for people to feel better. Like, what would he say for people to feel better? And what he says shocks me too.
Hey guys, don't be afraid to change your mind and keep going. That's another good one. And get good sleep and drink water.
That's a real one, real.
That we should sleep in and drink water. Two simple things that are so overlooked. People think it's so glamorous to stay up in the middle of the night, but all in all, when you actually get that proper night of sleep, you feel much better during the day. You feel like you can accomplish more. You have more self-belief, and you can accomplish more with the time that you do have. Sleeping is important, drinking water is important, and those are just two basic necessities to life. Now, to top it all off, he did have a tour that was coming up, and there were tickets on sale for the tour, and they talk about how the tour is going to be exciting. Obviously, he was unable to go on this tour as he did overdose, but Mac Miller's last interview really portrays a positive way. He portrays that he's still jittery, he's excited, there's more to life. Although his last album is very depressing, it's very cold-hearted, and it's very there. It's very real, and it's a lot of real emotions within it. We can see that when he went out in public, he was happy. Although he may have just been putting a front out to be happy, I sense some positive energy still within Mac Miller's soul right there. That Mac Miller did want to do better, he wanted to be better, and he wanted to be there for his fans. Now, the fifth artist whose last interview I want to talk about is PNB Rock. Now, PNB's Rock last interview is also a little bit strange because it's with DJ Academics, who did X's last interview. So, what do I see through PNB Rock's last interview? Well, one of the things that I see is that it was recorded the day before he got shot and robbed. The day before that he got robbed and shot, this interview was filmed. Now, why is that weird? Well, it's weird because of what was said in the interview. I will show you what was said in the interview, and you can tell me if it's weird or not.
Yeah, they try to approach me on some cool shit, but I'm just knowing too much. I'm from the trenches too, so I'm just like not paying it. I'm not taking it lightly. You know what I'm saying? So I'm clutching and all that. Like I'm like, bro, what is y'all niggas trying to do? Like I'm going off of the energy. Fuck what you saying right now. I know what you saying, but it's like I'm getting it too. You feel me? Like I'm not.
He mentions that he goes back to the trenches to pull up on someone. Yes, it's not that weird. Like yes, you wanna defend yourself in a sense, but PNB Rock is a rock star. He's someone who has a following. He should be putting himself into dangerous situations like such that he mentions right there. I know it's easy for us to speak right now, but similar to how X was saying in his DJ Academics interview that, hey, I am going to die, PNB Rock does a very similar thing right here. So I'll let you listen to that as well, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I never got robbed ever in my life. I ain't gonna say never because I don't like saying never. I'm not superstitious. I'm not superstitious and nothing like that, but I haven't been robbed.
That's why I feel like LA spooky, man. Like it's just so bold. Like I'm seeing mad videos. It's broad. Like they don't even do it at night. Like
he said that he hasn't been robbed, and then he gets robbed the next day. You get robbed the next day and killed after you say that you've never been robbed before, and then you try to stay aware of your surroundings. He doesn't want to get caught lacking, and then he gets called lacking. All in all, it's dangerous to be a rapper. It's dangerous to be out on the streets and doing things when there's people who want money and people who will come after you for that money. Looking into PNB Rock's character, he was unaware that what was gonna happen to him. You can see that he's still himself, that he's still like an upright person who wants to defend himself and be there for his own self and continue to make music. But it's just so strange when a rapper will say something like that, hey, I've never been robbed or killed, and then the next day you get robbed and killed, and it makes headlines all over the world because you're a big rapper who has a big following, who influences a lot of teenagers and a lot of people in this world. Rappers have so much influence, artists have so much influence in this world all over us. The things that they say, the way that they make us feel on the daily, when we walk to school, listen to them, when we walk through the hallways and listen to them, when I'm on the train going to work and I listen to them, there's so much things that rappers do for us and artists do for us to help us, and it's just so sad that they get taken out like this, that they get taken out of this world in these type of ways. But one of the worst last interviews is Pop Smoke's last interview. Pop Smoke, who arrived in 2020 and got killed a month after his song blew up. In his last interview with Apple Music, he's excited, he's happy, he's giddy, and he's happy to grow. Throughout this interview, Pop Smoke presents a side of himself that we haven't seen before. He presents a side where he's answering questions, he's being excited, and he says he has so much goals for himself. This is one of the goals that he set for himself. I'll let you listen to it.
I'm gonna be a millionaire.
So when you say a millionaire, is it very specifically how many millions?
Say, eventually I want 823 million, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, only 823 mil.
He says he wants to be a millionaire by the end of the year. And yes, he would be a millionaire at the end of the year, but he wouldn't be alive. Not by the means that he wanted to do it. He would achieve all of his goals, but he had to die in that process. He said he had so much music coming on the way, that Pop Smoke was coming up next this year. And yes, Pop Smoke's album was amazing when it came out, but it also featured a bunch of different artists, like Lil Baby, DaBaby, 50 Cent, people who wouldn't be featuring on it if he didn't pass away. People who were looking for extra clout. Pop Smoke's last interview is one of the most eeriest ones, as he was excited, he was happy to grow, and he wanted to be the biggest artist in the world, which he almost would do later in that summer. Now, analyzing all of these 6 rappers that I showed to you, what have I learned? Well, last interviews are a little bit scary. When you listen to them and you know that that person has passed away and that these were one of the last thoughts that they gave out to the public on a public speech, you think a little bit more deeper into it. Yes, he may be getting mad at the things that I said, but we're all entitled to our own opinions. I mentioned some things that I've analyzed through this, and I'd really love to hear everything that you guys have also analyzed through what I've shown you. If you guys want all of these clips that I showed you and you guys want to see all these interviews for yourself, they will be in my Discord. I will have them all in my Discord. Today, they will be all in my Discord. You can join the Discord in the description below. They will all be there, and you can watch all of these for your ones. You can share your insights with me. If I missed something, I would love to further cover it, and I'd love for you to show me what I missed. I'm always open to chat with you too. If you ever want to talk to me about any of these things that I talked about today in this video, feel free. Comments below is a great place to reach me, as well as my Instagram DMs and my Discord. In my Discord, I run competitions too, where I give out contests, and we have a money prize every single week. So if you want to make a few extra bucks, you can join there too. It's all free. I'm not making money off that. I make a lot of videos on this channel. If this is your first time seeing a Blue Vanity video, they're not usually this long, but I'm happy that you stayed till the end. I know you would love this video that's up here. It's very similar to this one. It'll be a good one for you. And I'd really like to thank you for giving me your attention today. The 25 minutes that you did give me. Thank you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Welcome to the Blue Vanity community. I love you. Thank you, and take care.